Class, there's a couple of things that we need to begin with as we're looking at graphing quadratic equations. Very first thing, as you probably well remember, these are U-shaped graphs. U-shaped graphs that have a point at the bottom, which is called the vertex. And that's kind of a significant point because that's where the graph stops going down and starts going up, or stops going up and starts going down. Okay, so the vertex for all the graphs that we're looking at in 4.1a are going to be at 0, 0. Okay, they're all going to be in the form y equals a times x squared. Or, if you want to look at it as a function, f of x equals a times x squared. All right, a has several things that we need to note about them. If a is greater than 1, the graph gets taller or thinner. Okay, if a is greater, if a is less than 1 but greater than 0, then the graph gets wider. And if a is less than 0, negative, the graph flips. And it flips in the x-axis. It's now opening in a downward direction. Okay. Those are some things that we need to note about graphing quadratics this time around. All right. So the parent quadratic function looks like this. F of x equals x squared. So in this case, a is 1. And the graph in the parabola shows this. Now, there is an axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry in this is x equals 0. That is the 0 of the vertex, or the vertex's x value. Okay? So when you have the axis of symmetry, it's always going to be x equals, and it's the number, which is the x value in the vertex. If you'll notice right there, the only point that this actually touches on the graph is the vertex, and that's where we get this value right there. All right. Again, all the vertexes in this particular section, 4.1a, are 0, 0. Okay, we'll go to the second, the third slide. And here is the reflection when a is negative, and you'll see it right there. A is negative 1 here, that the graph flips. It's going downward. All right. Now we're going to take a look at a max and a min value. The maximum value is at this point right here, where the graph is all proceeding in the downward direction. So the very top point is the vertex. So the maximum value is going to be the y value at the vertex. Be the y value. So now it's 0, 0, and this time it's this guy. Okay, that would be our max. The minimum, again, is also the y value at the vertex, but notice that the graph is all proceeding in the upward direction, and so now it's at the bottom, and therefore it's the minimum. There's our minimum or the maximum at the vertex, okay, of the graph, and it's always at the vertex. There will be no maximum on a quadratic where the parabola is pointing upward or going upward on like this one here. Okay, and there would be no minimum on this graph, which has a maximum value of 0. All right. Next slide. Graphing a function of the form f of x equals ax squared. Now, on this one, I'm going to take a look at a first. A is 1/2. Okay, what I want to note about that is a is positive. Okay, so it's going upward. Okay, that's what it can tell us there. If it's positive, it's going upward. If it's negative, it's the flipped, it's going downward. But it's positive. Now, a is also equal to 1/2. 1/2 is the one that falls between 0 and 1. So this gets a little wider. Okay, so this is going to get a bit wider. Or I'm going to put down a wider look. Right? So you would first plot your vertex at 0, 0. Now there's a simple way of doing this. All right, and I'm going to show you the shortcut, and I will give you these 5 points in my shortcut. From the vertex, okay, which is at 0, 0, okay, from the vertex, you go over 1 unit, okay, over 1 unit, and up 1 a squared. All right, so over 1, up 1, and go over 2 units, up 4a. You know what, I said a squared and I meant a. So a is 1, so over 1 up 1, over 2 up 4 times 1, so over 2 up 4. Okay, now this one is, you'll notice a is 1/2. Oops, did I just erase that? I did. So a is 1/2. All right, so this one you would go over 1 up 1/2. Well, that's going to be like right there and right there. Over 2, you would go up 4 times 1/2, which would be 2. Right? And if you went over 3, you would go up 9a, which would be 9 times 1/2. Over 4, you would go up 4 squared, or 16a, and that's where they got these guys right here. Okay, 16 times 1/2 gives us the 8s. That's a shortcut. You can find that all on your graphing calculator. Okay, and this is your table of values, which, if you recall, that's the second graph on your graphing calculator. So your graph would kick out this picture over here, and then the second graph would kick out your table of values. All right, so I'm going to get rid of some of those circles there. All right, highlights. This is a shortcut. You are not required to use the shortcut. You don't have to, so this is optional. Optional shortcut, but it always works. All right. Next slide. And this will be our last slide. So f of x equals negative 1/3. Okay, a is negative. Okay, and so it cannot be a, it must be b, because b is going in the downward direction. So this graph matches this function rather matches this graph. Now remember, please use, go one more slide, please use your graphing calculator. And don't forget, you have one on your graphing calculator. It's called Desmos. and Desmos graphing. And that will set up your graph, and then you can answer the questions. This was a short segment. You've only got 4 questions to answer on your homework. Please do all of them and submit them in Excel. We'll have a review and a quiz on Wednesday and Friday of the rest of this week. We'll come back and look at these graphs of quadratics after spring break. Have a great time tonight. See ya. Bye.